everyone, and welcome to the Everyday Alchemist podcast, a podcast where we remind you to be the alchemist of your life and make an amazing life for yourself. Today I'm joined by my co-host, my husband, Nick Sharma.
Hi guys, looking forward to this conversation today. So, let's dig in.
First of all, Happy New Year. We are in 2026 and we didn't actually get to do a very end episode that we normally do in 2025 because we were actually not feeling well. So we're kind of going to wrap maybe 2025 up and then step into 2026. Nick and I thought we'll come on today and just share some tips on how we are planning to make our 2026 successful. These are things that we have been doing for a number of years now, and we actually have seen results from it. So we thought we'll come on here and just share a couple of tips. Our daughter Nishaya is sleeping, so the aim is to get through this before her waking up. So it's not going to be a very long episode. It's going to be short, sweet, and simple, but effective. So everyone can jump in and make this year a very successful year for yourself. So I actually did make some notes. I thought I'll start with saying what 2026 is all about, the theme of 2026. It is a number, numerologically speaking, it is a year of new beginnings. So it's a year of one. How you get to that is so 2026, you go 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6 equals 10. In numerology, you always drop the last number, the last digit. So this year becomes the year of number 1 and a year of new beginning. So the theme for this year, I made some notes. I'll quickly go through the points. It is about a fresh start, initiating a new chapter of your life and planting seeds for the future. The theme of 2026 is actually leaving behind long cycles that no longer serve you. Last year, if you talk to a lot of people had a very tough year. It was a year of ending of relationships, ending of careers, it was a very clearing and cleansing year. So anytime you go through a clearing and cleansing, you are purging, you are releasing the old. So it is a very tough time to go through, because no one likes change, and especially if you are coming to an end of a karmic relationship, leaving your marriage or leaving a career that you thought you would be in for the rest of your life. So that was the theme of last year. So this year is really all about stepping into your new personal truth and authenticity. There's no more hiding who you are. The masks are falling off. You will probably see that a lot of relationships have changed. You probably don't resonate so much with old relationships anymore if it is not aligned to your truth. So it is about also choosing your own path, even if it feels unfamiliar. And I think the thing that I always think about now these days is, and maybe it's an age thing, I don't know, but it's about when you get to the end day of your life, what regret do you not want to have? So, that's a really good way of thinking about it, because you're going to the last chapter and going, because most people, if you listen to there's a lot of hospice nurses coming out now. Nick sent me an article the other day. They talk about one of the biggest regret people have is actually not doing what they wanted to do, like pursuing maybe a hobby or a career, or telling someone that you love them, or just having that kind of regret. I think that would be the worst pain to go through, because when you're there, that's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in there. So there was an article in the Herald. So it's sort of going through a hospice nurse and a lot of the patients that she's been nursing over the years. A lot of them obviously have passed away since. But she was sort of articulating what some of the I guess the bullet points were with a lot of these patients. And generally we sort of just think that, hey, look, when it's end of life, you probably regret. And some of the stuff, I guess, is quite general, is you wish you had more time with your loved ones, with your family, with your kids. But then there were also things that, it was a common theme that kept coming up, where they spoke about that they were fearful a lot in life, and they actually didn't take a lot of these steps that would have led to them having experiences, whether it be career, whether it be whatever. I think that's some of the regrets and some of the sort of common theme that came through from the article, which I found really interesting, because funny enough, I was actually having this conversation with with my nephew. So we're at a family party, and I already had like 100 beers. But the conversation was, I was just sort of having a chat to him, and I said, one of the things, and even at this age, in my 40s, I feel like, it's good to just try and be as unfearful as possible. So, you need to kind of, and we all have it, it's a natural reaction to a lot of things. But yeah, if you're able to learn one of these, some of these skills that we actually have with breathing, and you can just nullify fear, it actually helps you go to the next step. And I have this ethos in my head: don't think too much, just act. And I think that's probably something that we'll talk about today. But yeah, acting on things gets you results essentially, and it's powerful.
Yeah, just the article you're talking about. I've actually read something similar from another lady who takes a more spiritual look into the ending days of people that are in hospice. So if you can find some articles on the internet and read about it, because it gives you a really good idea of what actually takes place in the last days of a person leaving.
Mm.
And it's really interesting, and it takes a lot of fear out of it. So I like the one you sent, but the one that I read was more spiritual. So it's really, really, really good article. So anyway, going back to the theme, another theme is it's the year of taking courage to begin after endings in 2025. So like I was saying, lots of endings came last year. So this year really being the year of number one meaning new chance, new life, new opportunity, new start. So it really is a year, if you are planning to do something in your life and you keep thinking, you haven't been able to do it so far, this year's energy, universal energy, will actually support you. That is the theme of this year. The universe is there to share that energy with you. If you can just put things into momentum, the universe will meet you and push you. So this year is really the year where you get given a second chance. So I just want to emphasize that, whatever happened in the past, leave it behind. And this is really the year to tap into the greatest and best version of yourself, and really putting your dreams on the table and going for it and not having any regrets. And it's also about choosing alignment instead of obligation. So it's really seeing what you and your soul align with, rather than following people just because they are doing it and it's the cool thing to do. If you are not authentic about it, if you don't resonate with it, don't do it just because you want to impress people. It's really about stepping into your authentic truth. There's other ones there, but I think we'll just jump into your one. Like, what is your first tip?
Yeah, I think something that I've been doing avidly for many years now is the concept of a vision board. So I know it sounds a little bit kiddyish maybe to some of you, but it's actually not. It's a really, really powerful tool. So sometimes, and I certainly struggle with this. I kind of struggle with visualization because my mind in particular, is always active, is always busy, is always thinking about this, that, and the other, and I'm thinking 10 steps ahead a lot of the time. And when people set goals and they sort of want to challenge or do things for the year, often they say, "Hey, look, I write down goals, and they come true." And like, to be honest, that does form part of the goal setting process for vision boards. But certainly imaging and like just photos, I think of what you want to achieve in the year. What you do is you try and, if you can, have some photos that has some kind of a meaning to you. So I a lot of the time have got photos where it might be, maybe it's a destination I've already been to, and I'll take that photo out and put that on my vision board. Sometimes it's to do with just material things as well, as well as it's just personal things that I want to achieve, and that forms part of this sort of fabric of the vision board. And honestly, I kid you not, like, I've been doing this for a long time, and generally it's kind of like an 80-20 balance. So generally whatever I stick on there, 80% of that gets completed. And like, Nilma's a testament to that, and she obviously does vision boards as well. And so we're really strongly advocating that, if you're struggling or you're finding it hard to break through with certain things that you want to achieve, maybe it's a fitness goal, maybe it's a family goal, maybe it's a finance career goal. And that's how I sort of honestly structure it. So I use a analogy called fish. So F standing for family, I standing for income, S standing for self, which we'll talk about a little bit more, and H is for healthy. So fish is easy to remember, and if you teach somebody to fish, they can look after themselves and their family, and I love that concept. So I think something like that works really well because you're visually seeing it. So once you've created this um, vision board with all this imaging and messaging and stuff that you want to achieve, it's really important to exercise on that. So what I mean by that is you're refreshing, you're looking at it first thing in the morning, last thing before you go to bed. And so what that does, it just inputs that overall message into your head. And so it's subconsciously sort of acting whilst you're sleeping, whilst you're going out throughout your day. And honestly, the stuff works. So I think, vision board for me, definitely number one. If you haven't done it already, it's not too late. It's just a matter of, sitting down and working with maybe the fish analogy, dissecting what it is that you want to achieve, and then getting stuff from the internet. And it could be pictures of yourself, it could be pictures of just people or things you aspire to achieve. Maybe it's material, maybe it's personal. It doesn't really matter. But all of that can actually happen. And vision boards is definitely my number one.
Really cool. I like that because we are testaments of how this works. Every year we do a vision board. I do one for myself, I do one for Nishaya, and then Nick does one for himself. And I think it was last year we did, Nishaya reached probably 90%. Everything that we put on her board, she did. From art to going to Melbourne, so many things. And I mean, the biggest thing,
The baking, the cooking.
the biggest thing was I had a picture of Nishaya, a little girl just reading, and she was holding a pen, like just writing. And this is for another episode, but I'll just drop it in here anyway. Nishaya started writing last year, and it's a big story. So if you are listening for the first time and you don't know, our daughter is special needs and she is very limited in her mobility. She is non-verbal and non-mobile, and she has very high needs. So we actually need to support her in everything she does. She can't even hold a pen, yeah, but she is writing now because she sent a message to our healer. We work with a spiritual healer, and she said that tell mum and dad I'm ready to write. So one day I just sit there with a pen and a paper, and so Nishaya held the pen and I held her hand. So I did hand over hand, and she started writing. And I want to save what she wrote for the very first time for the episode that we do specifically about this. It's actually really funny. But
It's actually quite funny.
Yeah, it's really funny. And it's so amazing because this was on our vision board. And never in a billion years I thought that my child would start writing. She can't speak, let alone. And now she writes. So this is just a testament of how powerful a vision board is. When you do a vision board, I just want to add to what Nick was saying, you've got to make use of it too. You can't just do it and then stuff it into your cupboard or stuff it under the bed, or and then forget about it, because you are actually training your brain and your subconscious mind into believing that everything that you have put down is actually going to manifest. And it does manifest. And it's about the higher power, God, universe, also putting its energy into your thing. Most people fail in life because they don't have a clear vision of which direction they want to go in. And that's the simplest thing. If you don't know which way you're going to go, how are you going to get there?
It's true.
It's like in the GPS. If you don't put an address in, how will the GPS take you to your destination, right? So exactly like that in life, if you do not have a clear vision of where you're going to go, there's no momentum to push you there. So that's why vision boards work, because you are literally getting pictures of what you want and cutting and putting it on a board. So you are clear in your head when your subconscious mind knows that, hey, this is what I want to manifest. And you look at it day in, day out, it has to manifest. The universal energy is going to make it happen for you, but you need to put in the work.
Absolutely. And look, it honestly works. So if you don't believe it, then
Give it a try. What's there to
just
lose, right?
yeah,
If it doesn't work for you 1 year, and the thing is, don't put your timeline behind it as well. You might put something on there. It might not happen within that year, but it will happen in the most perfect divine
yeah.
timing.
I
And go
agree.
for
And
it.
the 80-20 thing that I spoke about, like honestly, what you find at the end of the year when you validate and like if you truly follow what we were saying, and it's not hard, it's just morning and night. And once you achieve those results, let's say you get 80% of it, the other 20 will still manifest in your life. It may just not happen that year, but it might happen the year after or the year after that. And you'll look back at it and just think, wow, like, and it's just a blueprint. You can't get anything in life without following a process. Like, you can't bake a cake without, having the right ingredients and actually having an oven. Like, that's the way everything works. So, sometimes I think this idea, sometimes, manifestation is a bit of a woo woo thing where, people just think, oh, you're one of those guys, that you believe in stuff like that, or you read that book, but no, it's an actual thing. It's just a process. And I think sometimes it's coined a little bit woo woo, but it's actually not. It's just a process that you have to follow in order to get something that you want in life. And I
Yeah.
think I just almost want to redefine, a lot of this where, it's a real thing. And if you just follow it, things will show up in your life. So you also on the fish analogy, we were talking about S as in self care, and I think that's something that you're really passionate about, Nilma.
Yeah, so my second point that I wanted to talk about is self-care. I think being a special needs mom, I think I spent a lot of time worrying about Nishaya, making sure Nishaya's schedule is on point. There was a phase where, obviously, at the beginning of this journey, when I jumped into the personal development world, I had to put myself first and get the momentum started so I could help my child. But somewhere, I think within last year and the year before that, I started losing myself. And this happens. We're human beings. Life starts lifing, and you kind of get
I like that.
yeah, you kind of get
Life starts life.
and you kind of get carried away with life. And I think I started concentrating more on Nishaya than myself. So last year in February, 2025 February, I was deliberately put on my ass, sorry, by the universe. I literally could not move. I did something to my lower back. I had no injuries. I just know one day on the 7th of February, I started getting this really intense pain in my lower back. I do Reiki, and most of the time I'm able to shift energy. Now, I couldn't do that for myself. And I went to my friend, my healer friend, and she's the most powerful healer I know. She's amazing, Ariana, and she is coming on the podcast, by the way. So look out for that. Really, really excited about that interview. Anyway, so she did everything, and we came to the realization that sometimes healing isn't about just healing topically. Whatever because your body is a messenger. So if something is happening within your body, instead of treating the symptoms, sometimes we need to deep dive into ourselves to see where this is really coming from. So for me, I was put on my bum by the universe because I wasn't paying attention to myself. And the universe was reminding me that until I can help myself, I am no good to anyone else. So I literally, from February 7th to March 7th, 1 month, was when I was not able to lift Nishaya. I was not able to do my normal things that I could do with Nishaya, and I was really, really sad about it. And unfortunately, I think a couple of days later, it was like the 10th or the 11th, Nick had to go to a work conference in Sydney. And it's almost like I went through a night of the deep, so what do you call it?
Yeah.
I've forgotten the term now, but it's when you go through a deep spiritual awakening. And I had to go through that. And thank goodness my parents were here because they really, really helped me. They came, my dad was lifting Nisha, doing things for me. But what came out of that was such a big blessing, because Nisha being unable to walk, Nick and I were carrying Nisha up and down everywhere. But we were literally forced to transition her into a wheelchair. And this was my biggest fear. I couldn't do it, even though I have all this understanding and I've got acceptance. But, that is a big move for any parent. And especially a parent will understand when you have to make these big transitions, it really breaks you. It's like you grieve, you go through the grieving stage. So I was actually pushed because I now had no choice but to transition Nishaya into the wheelchair. And I was forced to do things that I was prolonging. So Nisha's moving, so we might have to pause this. We'll see how we go. If you hear in the background, we'll pause it and come back to it. So and what came out of that was I got reminded that I needed to pour into myself. So last year I didn't actually do much after my injury. I just I went into the year of flow, started taking care of myself, trying to get back into my thing. It did take me a while, and I made a commitment that 1st of January was when I actually really restart my self-care program. So I have been getting up, going for a walk, running in the backyard, really trying to really be conscious about what I'm consuming, like food-wise, people-wise, what kind of energy I'm letting into my system, because whatever I do, it has an influence on Nishaya. So I think if you are really wanting to make 2026 a successful year for yourself, it starts from you. Not just outer. It's good to take care of yourself. Go get a new haircut, which I did. Go get a facial. Do all the things externally, but internally, you've got to really pour into yourself. I think for me, what I'm really enjoying is my silence as well. Like, I do find myself, like when Nisha is sleeping, I really treasure my silence, because I think when you are silent, you can hear a lot more, because we're so busy all the time. I love to meditate. That's part of my self-care. I love to just sit and not do anything and just stare into space. Like Nick knows, before I go to bed every night, I'm staring at the moon, I'm looking at the stars, and I'm just looking out into space. So I think self-care could mean different things to different people, but for me, it is about slowing down and pouring into my own cup so it actually overflows. So I'm not giving from a place of, where it's actually empty and then I'm resenting giving, because when you have a place where it's full, you give from a really happy place. So my the number 2 tip for 2026 is self-care. So what's your next one?
Yeah, so I think I just wanted to wrap up with, discipline is definitely something that I think takes you a long way in life. So if you wanted to start with, the vision board we spoke about, and looking after yourself, self-care, I think generally, fitness is a great place to start. And discipline is really what enables you to unlock a lot of that. So, it doesn't have to be a very scary word. I think sometimes people look at discipline and think, oh my God, I have to wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and, I have to have all this gym gear and maybe I need to go and do this, that, and the other. And then I need to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger within a month. Otherwise, people will just think that I'm useless. But it doesn't have to be that. You could wake up whenever, just carve out a bit of time, 15 minutes, like Norma said, just go for a walk, if you've got no gear. Or join a gym. I mean, it's cheap as chips these days. And like I honestly, like I'm a big advocate for fitness. So, you got to get up, you got to do something physical. And it just helps you with the rest of your life. It helps you with, obviously having a lot more self-confidence, but also helps you with just, everything else in life, how you are around family, how you're around with your colleagues, what you think of yourself, your self-worth goes up. And, just in every passage of your life, I think, discipline, fitness, these things just help you drive yourself and show up in the world way better. And I think that's honestly something that I really hope people take note of, especially a lot of sometimes I think the young, and I've obviously been the same young kid in my life as well, where you just get too sucked into what other people are doing, and you just almost living your life through other people's lens. And what discipline and sometimes like fitness and things help you unlock is it actually helps you have a little bit of time to yourself once you finish like a workout, for example, and just you have a point of reflection because you're like, what am I working hard for? And I think once you start asking yourself these sort of deeper questions, it helps you understand and spend a bit of time more like with yourself and to connect with yourself. And then questions like, okay, well, what is it that I want to do? Why am I working hard for this, that, and the other? And I think once those types of questions start to formulate in your mind, it helps you navigate. So, we all are going to get sucked into, what's happening with social media or, the next, thing that's sort of coming. But once you're able to ask those types of questions, it actually just helps you navigate and achieve things that truly matter to you. And I think that's really why we're all here, is to just unlock and actually, we balance this word authenticity, like being authentic and actually being yourself. But it's not until you start asking yourself the actual questions that enable you to get there. I think that's probably something to anybody can do. So yeah.
I just want to add that, it's never too late. Like, we all can get a second chance as many times as you can and want in life. It's never the end until it is the end. And I always say that because I truly, really believe that if you wanted to make a change, it just starts with a choice. All you got to do is make a choice that, yes, I want to change, and make one small change so you can see the results. Don't overwhelm yourself and pretend to be like this person that can do everything in one day, because we all are human beings and we all have limitations where, we do get tired. But, it's what you do with it. I think if you start building little by little by little, it all actually adds up. So my thing would be just make a choice to make a change and go from there, because you are the only one that can make a change. It has to come from you. And if you look at all the the big performing CEOs out there, athletes out there, they all are adapting meditation, and they are talking about manifestation and visioning. So now people are openly talking about it, because these things actually work, but you got to put in the effort as well. You can't just do it 1 day, 2 days. It takes 21 days to start forming a habit. It doesn't, just form in 21 days. But if you can do 21 days, then you've proven to yourself that you've got it in you. But I can tell you one thing, and I've been doing this work for over 13, 14 years now, that it starts, not over 14 years, I beg your pardon, 13 years, because Nisha's 14. So it starts with you, and every day, it's something that you have to work on every single day. You can't just say, oh, I do personal development and then kind of forget about it. Last year I had to go through all that because something wasn't correctly aligned with me. So you just have to keep working on yourself. It's just one of those things where you can't just do it and forget about it. Self-discipline, and you actually start enjoying it. I think that's what people forget, that you can't do something that you don't enjoy. So, success means different things to different people. For someone, it could mean that they want to be the best dad in this life, and that is success for them. Someone could want the best marriage in this life, and that is success. It doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire or an entrepreneur or, be an author or whatever. Like, success is measured by what you want and what your soul aligns to. I think you also need to be reminded of, that's what being authentic means. Not copying other people, but actually sitting down with yourself. I think that's why silence is so important. Journal, ask yourself these questions like Nick was saying, and then the answers will start unfolding. All the answers are actually all within us anyway. It's about unlocking it. And I think the reason we come here is because we come here as souls to remember who we really are and how powerful we are. And hence our podcast is called The Everyday Alchemists, because we all are alchemists. We all have this power to do this work. And, now we're seeing our little child doing amazing work. She's the biggest alchemist I know. And she just works through energy. Everything is energy. So I think, did you want to add something before we finish?
Look, I think the goals that you set last year is going to change. I think I'll talk about cycles in one podcast some stage about my something that I've actually seen over and over in my life, where everything happens in a 7-year cycle. But definitely with goals, I think what you did last year is going to be different to what you want to have this year. And so we go through all these, sort of warps in life, ups and downs, and things will change, So your health's going to change, your relationship will change, how you make money will change, your health will change. So all these things are going to be different year to year, and definitely in a 7-year cycle. So where what we're talking about with vision boards and setting goals, I think you need to pay attention to that. Otherwise, you're sort of living a life where
meaningful life.
yeah, like I mean, and if that's what you want to do, that's cool. Like that's you. But I'm talking to the ones that actually want to stand for something. They actually want to have a life where we go all the way full circle back to the hospice story with the nurses having that chat to the patients that are coming. And I actually feel like if some of them actually had a process that they were following, um, they actually may not have been saying what they did, back to their nurse. So I sincerely feel that having a plan, having some kind of a process, and it doesn't have to be really really over onerous, like something that is easy to follow. And then, like what Nilma said, you actually enjoy it. You enjoy the fruits of your labor. And definitely, I know one thing is when you hit 80% or whatever you set yourself, that's a great feeling, and you just feel like I've done something, I've achieved something, I've contributed, and I've not only just helped myself, but obviously a lot of the goals is family goals, So if you can do all that, then I think that's what a definition of success really starts to become. So yeah, it's pretty much what I had.
Yeah, I just want to say that, 2026 is, we are still ascending, and 2032 will be when we are in the golden age. So it will get a little bit rough, but don't let fear rule you, You got to keep, like Nick was saying, you got to keep your focus, that's why vision boards are really good, because the external noise, you don't want that to disturb your inner peace. So if you do all these things that we are saying, and there's really so many more tools, but we really wanted to just condense it down to a couple of really good ones that we do every year, because we know these work. We got Ken Honda on here on our little podcast. He's a millionaire and he's a Mind Valley speaker. He's
the man. Like, if you follow, a lot of the stuff that we're interested in, like he's right up there.
He's right up there, and he's the most humble guy you will ever see and meet as well. So, that was a pure manifestation. And I had Kerry Sneeden who came. She's another Mind Valley speaker. So it doesn't mean that you have to, like, our podcast is not huge, but it's quality. And that's what I want to emphasize, that we're not after the quantity, but it's the quality.
Not after the likes, but do like it.
The other thing I will say is, there's so many people we have helped through our podcast, and they still reach out when they're stuck. They will reach out, but yet people don't ever share a like, or
I think it's fear, right? So I think
not that we want you to do it, because
but like I think it's an interesting.
This is another interesting topic I want to talk about, because why do people have such a big fear to celebrate your winnings?
Exactly.
If you are gaining something from someone's podcast and you've even taken 1% from it, appreciate it, guys, and thank those people.
That's what gratitude is, right?
I listen to 1 billion podcasts. That's, with my headphones. I'm onto my second headphones now. It's like all falling apart and I actually like people's work. I send a message, because if they are bringing some change into my work, let's not let our egos rule the world. And if someone is doing something, even if you don't fully understand it, but they are spreading some good news, encourage people. It's not just, I'm not digging for a like, because I don't care if I don't get a like or not. I know my work is good. I know what we're talking is authentic. And because it's coming directly from the universe, I always say God is my boss. So I get directed by what he says, right? Even choosing people that come on the podcast, I just don't get anyone, because everyday alchemist does mean that you need to do the work as well. It's not just about coming on here and
getting a badge.
It's not about that. We do the work every single day. And I'm encouraging people to do that as well, but share the love as well, guys. It's, there's a lot of people trying to do good things in life at the moment. I see them, and, encourage them. like support them.
Yeah, and like my rap last year, just before we end, is talk is cheap. Do the work. I think there's too many people out there that just talk a big game. Like anyone can talk, but what are you actually achieving? What are you actually doing? So I challenge those people that don't just be a man or woman of just speaking. Do the work. Actually get some fruits, because once you start achieving, you start to see the world way differently. You actually start to appreciate the people that are actually doing the work around you. And I think just to what Norma was saying is, I have so much respect for people that just work hard and achieve stuff, and a lot of the time, they've got the same kind of number of hours that we all do. They've got so many challenges, but you actually see the level of success that they're having in their life, and you just think, wow, like you appreciate it because you're doing the work too in your own life, and you're like, I'm in awe of somebody that is kind of, in my eyes, doing more, and I think that kind of motivates me to want to be better, and do more. So yeah, spread the love, be authentic, and to everyone's best, for the new year. So yeah.
I just want to say, as a woman, what's attractive for me in a man is a man of few words. And Nick is actually one of those guys. Like, I can say it because I'm your wife and we've grown up. We met when I was
18.
going on to 19. And we're in our
I
40s
was
now.
20, so I'm not like a
Well, I don't know about that.
cradle.
But what I mean is, you see people talking a big game. They do a little bit and they talk a big game. And we see it in our own, amongst people. But when you are a guy or a woman that does the work, it shows in your face. It shows in you in your energy field. You don't need to go brag about it. Your work, your energy does the talking for you. So in Nick, I do
It's true.
admire that because Nick, he has done really good things in life, and he's achieved really good things in life, but he doesn't talk about it. Like, sometimes I have to tell him that it's good to be humble, but you don't want to be a doormat as well. I think Nick and I are now learning that being good doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. You got, setting boundaries is actually a very big thing for 2026. And the angels are bringing this message in that, just because someone is blood or someone is a friend, but they mistreat you, doesn't mean you keep being in that energy. You need to better yourself. You need to move away and show them, because from you moving away, showing them how to live, you're actually teaching them indirectly as well. Whether they get it or they don't get it now, they will get it. So
Yeah, it's like a form of fighting back. So sometimes, yes, you have to physically fight back if
physically.
if there's a threat, like
Oh my God.
like
Yeah.
like that's
I
the
mean,
way
if
I
someone breaks in or something.
yeah, but that's the way I think that if there's a danger to me or to people around me, I'm not going to just sit there.
Like, take your
Right?
power back.
Yeah, 100%. But another way of fighting back is where you've got situations where things are happening in your life, and rather than getting into like a quarrel and making a big drama about it, particularly when you've got sort of emotional ties or relationships that you don't want to sort of spend the rest of your life mending. Take yourself out of it, and that's a form of fighting back. Just take yourself out of it, and let them deal with whatever they're dealing with. It lets them process whatever is going through their heads. But you also are taking yourself out of that situation as well. So it's a great way to fight back. Just take yourself out, and carry on, because what you don't realize is you spend a lot of energy, and that becomes a big chunk of your life. So where there's a common theme and thread I see in a lot of people where they have a lot of mental, social anxiety. They just feel like they can't get anything done in their life, and
Because they're stuck in that same energy, right?
100%. So they stuck in this situation which feels like they can't get out of it, right? And that just overly consumes them. So it's just absolutely saturated every ounce of energy in their life. And no wonder they can't break out of it, because that's all they're consuming. That's all they're eating, seeing, doing is that. And if you find that, you're in that type of situation where you feel like you're just in a hole and you can't get out of it, there's probably something consuming you. So the best way, just
Choose yourself.
go and do something else. It's really that. It sounds really, really complicated and will probably feel really, really hard at that point. But I've done it, and I've just literally eliminated myself without being obtuse or being disrespectful or trying to hurt anybody. I'm just eliminated myself out of it and just thought, you know what, I got to do what's priority for me. I don't want to be that person on their deathbed, at the hospice having those regrets. So that's another tool where just take yourself out, and it's a great way to fight back.
Actually, you just reminded me. I saw a preview. Oprah Winfrey has done a podcast interview talking about exactly this. Why are people choosing to move away from old bonds like family, friends? And more people are actually doing it. So I think people are awakening to the truth and realizing that, what you're saying, that you got to choose, you got to make these choices. So I will go and listen to that tonight. Because it seems like people are awakening, which is really good, which is obviously this ascension that we're going through. People are realizing that we can't stay in the old 3D energy anymore. So yeah, that's all I got to say. I think this is probably a nice place to wrap it up. We can hear Nishaya waking up as well. So hopefully you guys find this helpful, and if you guys have any comments or questions or you need any help, reach us on our my Instagram page or our website, and then we'll reach back. And hope you enjoy it. So happy New Year again, and have a great year. And we will be bringing more episodes out this year, more episodes than last year. So remember, you are the alchemist of your life, and if you believe it, then everything and anything is possible. So look after yourself, take care, and see you in the next episode.
See ya.